What if I told you that a single mother working 3 jobs, sleeping on a broken mattress with her 2 children, would become the most successful businesswoman in her city? What if I told you that her transformation happened not because of luck, not because of connections, but because of something far more powerful than money itself? This is the story of Maria, a woman who lost everything but gained something that no amount of wealth could ever buy. And by the end of this story, you'll understand why sometimes our greatest blessings come disguised as our deepest struggles. But first, if stories like this inspire you to never give up on your dreams, hit that subscribe button right now, because today's story will change the way you see challenges forever. In the bustling streets of an industrial city, where factory smoke painted the sky gray and hope seemed as rare as sunshine through the clouds, lived a woman named Maria. She was 32 years old, a single mother of 2 beautiful children, Sophia, age 8, and little Carlos, age 5. Maria's hands told the story of her struggle, calloused from cleaning offices at night, rough from washing dishes at a local diner, and tired from folding clothes at the laundromat during weekends. 3 jobs, 7 days a week, and still, at the end of each month, she counted pennies to buy milk for her children. Their small apartment was on the 4th floor of a building that had seen better days. The elevator never worked, the walls were thin, and in winter they huddled together under every blanket they owned. But what Maria lacked in material wealth, she possessed abundantly in faith. Every morning, before the sun kissed the horizon, Maria would kneel beside the small window in their tiny living room. With her children still sleeping, she would clasp her hands together and speak to God with the intimacy of a daughter talking to her father. "Heavenly Father," she would whisper, her voice barely audible above the city's awakening sounds, "I thank you for this new day. I thank you for my children's health, for the roof over our heads, even if it leaks when it rains. You know our struggles, Lord. You see how Sophia sometimes goes to school with the same clothes because I couldn't afford to do laundry. You see how Carlos asks for toys that I cannot buy." Her voice would tremble slightly, but her faith never wavered. "But I know, God, that you have a plan for us. I know that these difficult days are preparing us for something greater. Give me strength to work another day. Give me wisdom to be the mother my children deserve. And if it is your will, show me the path to give them the life they dream of." After her prayer, Maria would prepare a simple breakfast, usually bread and butter, sometimes with a glass of milk if there was enough money. Her children never complained. They had learned to find joy in small things. Sophia would draw pictures on the fogged windows, and Carlos would build castles with empty cereal boxes. Before leaving for her first job at 5 a.m., Maria would kiss her sleeping children and whisper, "Mama will work hard today so we can have a better tomorrow." Across the city, in the wealthy district where marble fountains decorated private gardens and luxury cars lined the driveways, lived Victoria Mendoza. She owned the largest employment agency in the region, a business empire built on connecting people with jobs. But Victoria's success had come at a cost. Her heart had grown cold toward those less fortunate. Victoria's office was on the 20th floor of a glass tower. From her window, she could see the entire city, but she preferred not to look down at the struggling neighborhoods. "Those people," she would say to her employees, "lack ambition. They accept mediocrity." When desperate job seekers came to her agency, Victoria treated them like commodities. She charged excessive fees for placements, knowing that desperate people would pay anything for work. She particularly looked down on single mothers like Maria, whom she considered unreliable and too needy. Maria had heard about Victoria's agency and had visited 3 times, hoping to find better employment. Each time, Victoria's receptionist would look at Maria's simple clothes and worn shoes and inform her that there were no suitable positions available. The truth was, Victoria had several job openings that would have been perfect for someone with Maria's work ethic and determination. But Victoria's prejudice blinded her to Maria's potential. One particularly difficult week, Maria's world began to crumble. Sophia fell ill with a fever that wouldn't break. The medicine cost more than Maria earned in 2 days. Then Carlos developed a persistent cough that kept him awake at night. The doctor said both children needed better nutrition and a warmer living environment. That same week, Maria lost one of her 3 jobs. The diner where she worked evenings closed down suddenly. Now, with 2/3 of her income, she faced an impossible choice: pay rent or buy medicine for her children. That night, after putting her sick children to bed with nothing but aspirin and warm water, Maria knelt on the cold floor of her apartment and wept. Her tears fell like rain on her clasped hands as she poured out her heart to God. "Lord," she cried, "I don't understand why this is happening. I work as hard as I can. I try to be a good mother. My children are innocent. Why must they suffer? I'm not asking for luxury, God. I'm asking for enough money to keep them healthy, to give them the nutrition they need to grow strong." Her voice broke as she continued. "People tell me to stop believing, to stop hoping. They say that faith is for fools, and that I should accept that this is our life. But I cannot stop believing in you, Father. Even when everything seems impossible, even when my children's future looks so uncertain, I choose to trust that you have not forgotten us." Maria stayed on her knees until dawn, alternating between prayer and silent tears. When the sun finally rose, she felt something she couldn't explain, a peace that settled in her heart despite her circumstances. That morning, something unusual happened. As Maria walked to her remaining job at the office building downtown, she noticed an elderly woman sitting on a bus bench, looking confused and distressed. The woman was well dressed, but appeared lost. Without hesitation, Maria approached her. "Excuse me, ma'am. Are you all right? Do you need help?" The elderly woman looked up with relief. "Oh dear, I'm so grateful you stopped. I'm Mars, Elena Rodriguez. I was supposed to meet my grandson at the employment agency downtown, but I can't remember which building it's in. I think I'm lost." Maria's eyes widened. She recognized the name immediately. Elena Rodriguez was Victoria's grandmother and the founder of the original Rodriguez Employment Services, which had later become Victoria's empire. "I know exactly where that is," Maria said gently. "I've been there several times looking for work. Would you like me to walk with you?" "It's on my way." As they walked together, Mrs. Rodriguez began sharing her story. She told Maria how she had started the employment agency 50 years ago with a simple mission: to help people find dignified work regardless of their background. She had built the business on the principle that every person deserved respect and opportunity. "My granddaughter Victoria runs it now," Mrs. Rodriguez said with a sigh. "But I worry she's lost sight of our original purpose. She's become so focused on profit that she's forgotten why we started this business, to help people change their lives." Maria listened intently, not revealing that she had been turned away from Victoria's agency multiple times. Instead, she asked, "What do you think makes a business truly successful?" Mrs. Rodriguez stopped walking and looked directly into Maria's eyes. "A business is only as successful as the lives it improves. Money is just a tool, dear. The real measure of success is how many people you lift up along the way." When they reached the building, Mrs. Rodriguez turned to Maria and said, "You have a kind heart, young lady. What's your name, and what do you do for work?" "I'm Maria," she replied. "I clean offices and do whatever honest work I can find to support my 2 children." Mrs. Rodriguez studied Maria's face carefully. There was something in the older woman's eyes, a recognition, as if she saw something special in Maria that others had missed. "Maria, would you do me a favor? I'd like you to come upstairs with me. I want to introduce you to my granddaughter." Maria hesitated. She had been rejected by Victoria's agency before, and she didn't want to face that humiliation again, especially in front of Mrs. Rodriguez. But something in the elderly woman's eyes made her nod. "Of course, Mrs. Rodriguez." When they entered Victoria's luxurious office, Victoria barely looked up from her computer. "Grandmother, you're early. I told you I'd pick you up at noon. Victoria, I want you to meet Maria. She helped me when I was lost and walked me here out of pure kindness." Victoria glanced at Maria and immediately recognized her as one of the job seekers she had dismissed. Her expression became cold. "Grandmother, I'm busy with important clients. Perhaps Maria should—" "Maria is important," Mrs. Rodriguez interrupted firmly. "Sit down, both of you. Maria, tell Victoria about your situation." Reluctantly, Maria explained her circumstances: the 3 jobs, the sick children, the struggle to make ends meet. As she spoke, Victoria's assistant brought in coffee for Mrs. Rodriguez, but ignored Maria entirely. Victoria listened with obvious impatience. When Maria finished, Victoria's response was predictably dismissive. "Maria, I've told you before, we don't have positions suitable for someone in your ... situation. Single mothers are often unreliable. They have too many personal issues that interfere with work. I run a professional agency, not a charity." The room fell silent. Mrs. Rodriguez stared at her granddaughter with disappointment and shock. "Victoria," Mrs. Rodriguez said slowly, "is this how you've been treating people who come here for help?" "Grandmother, you don't understand modern business. We have to be selective. We have a reputation to maintain." Mrs. Rodriguez stood up, her voice firm but sad. "The reputation we built was based on helping people like Maria. Your grandfather and I would be ashamed of what this business has become." She turned to Maria. "My dear, I want to tell you something that Victoria has apparently forgotten. Success isn't about having the right background or the perfect circumstances. Success comes to those who combine hard work with unwavering faith and the courage to help others." Mrs. Rodriguez reached into her purse and pulled out a business card. "This is the card of a dear friend of mine, Roberto Silva. He owns a chain of restaurants and has been looking for someone to manage his new location. Someone with strong work ethic and character. Call him and tell him I sent you." Victoria scoffed. "Grandmother, she has no management experience. She cleans offices for a living. And what did you have when you started working here?" Mrs. Rodriguez replied sharply. "Experience isn't just about what's written on a resume, Victoria. It's about character, dedication, and heart. Maria has worked 3 jobs to support her children. That tells me more about her management potential than any business degree could." Maria looked at the business card with tears in her eyes. "Mrs. Rodriguez, I don't know what to say. Thank you for believing in me. Don't thank me yet, dear. Thank me after you succeed, and I know you will." That afternoon, Maria called Roberto Silva. His warm voice immediately put her at ease. "Elena Rodriguez is one of the wisest people I know. If she believes in you, that's all the recommendation I need. When can you start?" Roberto offered Maria a position as assistant manager at his newest restaurant, with a salary that was more than she had ever dreamed possible. But more importantly, he offered her something she had been searching for all her life, the chance to prove what she was truly capable of. "I know you don't have traditional restaurant management experience," Roberto said, "but Elena told me about your work ethic and your heart. Those are the qualities I value most. I'll teach you everything else." Maria's first day at Silva's restaurant was overwhelming. The kitchen was bustling, the orders were complex, and the staff seemed to speak in a language of efficiency she didn't understand. But Maria approached every challenge with the same determination that had carried her through years of struggle. She arrived early, stayed late, and treated every customer as if they were a guest in her own home. Within weeks, the restaurant's customer satisfaction scores began to soar. Maria's genuine care for people created an atmosphere that customers loved. But Maria's real innovation came from her understanding of struggle. She noticed that many of the restaurant's employees, like herself, were single parents or people working multiple jobs to survive. She proposed creating a more flexible scheduling system that allowed employees to balance their work with their family responsibilities. "Happy employees create happy customers," she explained to Roberto. "When people feel valued and supported, they give their best effort." Roberto was impressed not just by Maria's operational skills, but by her leadership philosophy. Within 6 months, he promoted her to full manager. Within a year, their location became the most profitable in his entire chain. News of Maria's success spread throughout the business community. Other restaurant owners began approaching her for advice. She started consulting part-time, helping businesses improve their employee relations and customer service. But Maria never forgot where she came from. With her first significant paycheck, she moved her children to a better apartment with reliable heating and their own bedrooms. Sophia and Carlos thrived in their new environment. Their health improved, their grades soared, and their laughter filled their new home. More importantly, Maria used her position to help others who were in situations similar to her own. She partnered with Roberto to create a job training program for single parents and unemployed individuals. The program didn't just offer jobs. It provided support, mentoring, and the belief that everyone deserved a chance to succeed. Meanwhile, Victoria's business began to decline. Word spread throughout the community about her treatment of job seekers. Companies started using other agencies, ones that were known for their fairness and compassion. Victoria's profit-focused approach was driving away both clients and candidates. One day, Mrs. Rodriguez visited her granddaughter's office and found Victoria staring out the window, looking troubled. "Grandmother," Victoria said quietly, "our business is failing. Companies are choosing our competitors." "I don't understand what went wrong, Mrs." Rodriguez sat down across from her granddaughter. "Victoria, do you remember Maria, the woman you turned away?" "Of course. What about her?" "She's now managing the most successful restaurant in the city. She's also started her own consulting business, helping other businesses improve. And do you know what people say about her?" Victoria remained silent. "They say she's the most compassionate and effective business leader they've ever worked with. The woman you dismissed as unreliable has become everything you could have been. If only you had chosen to help people instead of judging them." Victoria felt a wave of regret wash over her. "But grandmother, how could I have known she would be successful?" "You couldn't have known about her future success, but you could have chosen to treat her with dignity and respect. You could have chosen to see her potential instead of her circumstances. That's what true business leadership looks like." That night, Victoria couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about all the people she had dismissed over the years, not just Maria, but dozens of others who had come to her agency, seeking hope and finding only rejection. The next morning, Victoria made a decision that would change her life. She walked into Maria's restaurant during the lunch rush. Maria was busy coordinating with the kitchen staff, ensuring every order was perfect when she noticed Victoria standing at the entrance. Their eyes met across the crowded restaurant. Victoria swallowed her pride and approached Maria. "Maria, I owe you an apology. Actually, I owe you much more than that. I treated you terribly, and I was wrong. Watching your success has taught me something important about myself and about what real business leadership means." Maria listened quietly, studying Victoria's face for sincerity. "I want to change how my agency operates," Victoria continued. "I want to help people the way my grandmother originally intended. Would you would you be willing to help me? To teach me what you've learned about treating people with respect and seeing their potential instead of just their circumstances?" Maria was quiet for a long moment. She thought about all the pain Victoria's rejection had caused her, but she also remembered her mother's teachings about forgiveness and second chances. "Victoria," Maria said finally, "I believe everyone deserves an opportunity to grow and change. If you're truly committed to helping people instead of judging them, then yes, I'll help you." Over the following months, Victoria and Maria developed an unlikely partnership. Maria helped Victoria restructure her agency's approach, focusing on people's potential rather than their current circumstances. They created programs to help job seekers develop skills, build confidence, and find meaningful employment. Victoria's business not only recovered, but flourished beyond anything she had previously achieved. More importantly, she discovered that helping people succeed was far more fulfilling than simply making money. But the real transformation was in Victoria herself. She began volunteering at community centers, mentoring young entrepreneurs, and using her wealth to support education programs for underprivileged children. 1 year later, At the annual Business Excellence Awards, both Maria and Victoria were honored. Maria received the Rising Star Award for her innovative approach to restaurant management and her community service. Victoria received the Transformation Award for completely changing her business philosophy and helping hundreds of people find meaningful employment. In her acceptance speech, Victoria said, "A year ago, I thought success meant making the most money. I was wrong. Success means lifting others up. I learned this from a remarkable woman named Maria, whom I initially dismissed and rejected. She taught me that our circumstances don't define our potential. Our character does." Maria's acceptance speech was even more powerful. When I was struggling to feed my children, working 3 jobs, and facing rejection after rejection, I could have given up. But I chose to keep faith. Not just faith in God, but faith in the possibility that tomorrow could be better than today. That faith didn't just change my life. It gave me the strength to help change others' lives too. Today, 5 years later, Maria owns 3 successful restaurants and runs a nonprofit organization that has helped over 500 single parents find stable employment and housing. Sophia is now in high school and wants to study business so she can help her mother expand their community programs. Carlos dreams of becoming a chef and working in his mother's restaurants. Victoria has transformed her family's employment agency into the most respected and successful placement service in the region. She has also established a scholarship fund for children from low-income families, a fund that Sophia was among the first recipients of. But perhaps the most beautiful part of this story is what happened between Victoria and Mrs. Rodriguez. The elderly woman lived to see her granddaughter become the compassionate leader she had always hoped she would be. Before Mrs. Rodriguez passed away peacefully at age 89, she told Victoria, "I'm proud of the woman you've become. Your grandfather would be proud too." At Mrs. Rodriguez's funeral, Maria spoke about how a chance encounter with a lost elderly woman had changed the trajectory of her entire life. "Mrs. Rodriguez taught me that success isn't about what you achieve for yourself. It's about what you inspire others to achieve. She saw potential in me when I couldn't see it in myself. That's the greatest gift anyone can give another person, belief in their possibilities." The lesson of Maria's story isn't that faith guarantees material success. The lesson is that faith, combined with hard work, kindness to others, and refusal to give up, creates the conditions where extraordinary things become possible. Maria's children learned that their mother's greatest strength wasn't her ability to work 3 jobs. It was her ability to maintain hope when hope seemed impossible. They learned that treating others with dignity and respect, regardless of their circumstances, is not just morally right, it's the foundation of all true success. And Victoria learned that when we choose to see people's potential instead of their problems, when we choose to lift others up instead of keeping them down, we don't just change their lives, we transform our own. Maria still prays every morning, but now her prayers are filled with gratitude rather than desperation. She thanks God not just for her family's prosperity, but for the opportunity to help others discover their own potential for greatness. Because Maria learned the most important truth of all, we are not defined by where we start in life. We are defined by how we choose to treat others along the journey, and by our willingness to believe that tomorrow can always be better than today. The day everything changed for Maria wasn't the day she found success. It was the day she chose to help a lost elderly woman find her way. That simple act of kindness set in motion a chain of events that would transform not just her life, but the lives of hundreds of others. And that, perhaps, is the real measure of a life well lived, not what we achieve for ourselves, but what we inspire others to achieve for themselves and for the world around them. If Maria's story has inspired you, if it's reminded you that your current circumstances don't define your future possibilities, then I have a challenge for you. Before you click away from this video, I want you to do 3 things. First, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. This channel is dedicated to sharing stories of real people who transformed their lives through faith, hard work, and determination. Every week, We bring you new stories that will challenge you to see your own potential differently. Don't miss a single story that could be the inspiration you need to change your life. Second, share this video with someone who needs to hear Maria's message today. We all know someone who's struggling, someone who's been rejected or dismissed, someone who needs to be reminded that their circumstances are not their destiny. Be the person who shares hope with them. Third, and most importantly, look for your own opportunity to help someone this week. Maybe it's helping a lost stranger find their way, like Maria did. Maybe it's offering encouragement to someone who's been discouraged. Maybe it's seeing potential in someone that others have overlooked. Remember, Maria's transformation began not when she received help, but when she gave it. Your story of transformation is waiting to be written. Your moment to help someone else discover their potential is coming. And we'll be here, bringing you the inspiration and motivation you need to recognize those moments and act on them. Subscribe now, because your breakthrough story might be just one video away. Thank you for watching, and remember, the day everything changes for you might be today.